Hello everybody. How are we doing tonight? We are once again back with some Fate Stay Night. We are on day 13 of Unlimited Blade Works. Last time, Archer betrayed Rin and went over to Caster's side. And so now Shiro and Rin are planning to head to Ilya's castle in the woods and try to propose an alliance with her. We shall see how that goes. It's looking like a fairly busy day, so this might be a relatively long Fate stream, but there's only one potential bad end, but there's like let's see, there's 2 points where we could potentially get this bad end. So without any further ado, I think we're gonna get right into it. Day 13 versus Berserker. That does not bode well, does it? And we're starting off with an interlude. She is alone with her thoughts in the darkness. It has been a day since she attacked the church and killed the priest. It has been a day since she declared that she can find it, no matter where it may be hidden, if it exists. It may not be the case for other servants, but there is no way someone versed in magic like her would not be able to find a relic as holy as the Holy Grail. Then there is only one answer. The Holy Grail was never hidden in this church to begin with. She sighs and puts her fingers on her temple. 1 second. Sorry about that. She sighs and puts her fingers on her temple. When she closes her eyes, heavy darkness assails her body. No, it is just a scream. It is not coming from outside. The scream comes from her body and mind, telling her that her fatigue is at the limit. It has been a month since she was summoned. Since then, she has done her best to win. Her master is an ordinary person without a magic circuit, and she is the weakest of the servants. To make up for that, she abused forbidden magic. Collection from the people. The magical string she placed throughout the town, and the control of the ley line using sacrifices. These are all reasons why she was called a witch during her life. But she's never used them before. She should have never used them, and she did not intend to do the forbidden. So, why did she end up using them for a meaningless conflict like this? She became a heroic spirit to take revenge, but she also knows it is meaningless to use the skills that labeled her a witch. She only uses trivial magic. She only created disasters that caused people to destroy themselves with their own greed. That was all the revenge she could manage, so what caused her to stray from her path so much?
すべては聖杯のため。あらゆる望みを叶える聖杯なのだから、気が違うのは当然です。
That is a lie. She knows the true identity of the Holy Grail. She already knows what that thing is and why servants like her are summoned. It is true that most wishes can be granted using the Holy Grail that appears in this town. It will allow her to stay in this world with physical form, and it will allow her to start a second life as a human. But...
バカね。そんなことに何の意味があるというの？
Saying so, she closes her eyes. She empties her mind. For now, she lets her guard down and rests her mind. She hears the sound of rain. It was a night without moonlight. The surroundings were pitch black, and she wandered with an empty mind. That is where she met him, with blood-stained body and frozen limbs. A chanced meeting that was more miraculous than any miracle. It was the mountain where the Ryudo temple is located. Falling rain. She was stumbling aimlessly through the dense forest. She left behind a trail of blood. In her hand was a dagger that breaks all contracts. Her purple robe was wet with rain, and her limbs had turned white from the winter cold. She staggered around, holding onto the trees for support. She walked on, dirtied with mud, her breath ragged, reaching out her hand as if begging for help. She did not look like her usual self, filled with cool composure. No, even the amount of magical energy was unlike her. She was exhausted. She only had a handful of power left. For a servant, magical energy is like a lifeline that allows them to stay in this world. But that was all lost. No magical energy was coming from her master. But that was only natural. She had just killed her own master. That was the cause of her exhaustion. She, servant Castor, was about to disappear alone as compensation for obtaining freedom. A dry laugh. It is funny that her body was not able to maintain itself, and that she betrayed her vulgar master. Moreover, it's quite amusing to see how badly she had underestimated the relationship between servant and master. I just bumped my mic, I apologize. She had done well. Her master was a legitimate magus. He was in his 30s, had a medium build, and had few noteworthy characteristics. He had no will to fight, but dreamed of victory. He was a man that only waited for the other masters to kill each other. So, a fun fact. They don't actually show Castor's original master in the visual novel. But I believe the correct order of this is that, a spin-off series, a spin-off novel series, Lord Elmaloy II's Case Files, introduced a character who would then go on to become her master, because Case Files is set slightly before Fate's Day Night. And then in the Unlimited Blade Works anime, they showed, like, the beginnings of their relationship and, like, why Castor killed him. It's either that or the other way around, where he was in the Unlimited Blade Works anime first, and then they put him in the Case Files novels. I'm not sure which came first, actually. But yeah, his name is... oh god, what was his name? It's Atrum something. Atrum Galliasta. Yes, I remembered that correctly. And oh boy, he deserved it. The man had not trusted Castor. He treated Castor coldly, as she was a superior magus, and he insulted her for being inferior to other servants. She gave up on him after a few days. Something that was added in the anime, I believe, is that, he was using, like, little kids as basically human batteries for Castor, and she was absolutely disgusted. She acted as an obedient servant and filled the man's conceit. At least I'm pretty sure that's how it was. I've mentioned before, it has been a while since the last time I watched the anime. In short, she made him use his command spells for meaningless things. She told him he did not need the command spells. She made him believe that she would be faithful to her master even without the command spell. It was his fault for believing in her. The master used his third command spell for a meaningless thing, and was killed by Castor at that moment. It was easy. She did not like the fact that the contract with him still existed, so she killed him using the rule breaker. But she had made a mistake. Servants exist using the supply of magical energy provided by their masters. But not just magical energy. Servants are only allowed to exist in this age by being connected with people of this age. In other words, to lose one's master, the passport to this age, means being forced to return to the outside world. But she would not normally be this exhausted. This was the curse her master had left her. Her master did not approve of her, as she was a better magist than he was. Therefore, he limited her magical energy to be always below his level. The magical energy level of a mere human cannot keep a servant in this world. She would normally be able to stay in this world for 2 days after losing her master. But now was different. Her magical energy was drastically decreasing with every second, and the end was near. Probably a few more minutes. She would disappear if she could not find her next master in that time. She would disappear before she could fight, unable to do anything. She would be a pitiful servant, summoned only to be trampled upon. It was vexing. It was vexing, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It had always been like this for her. She was treated unreasonably like this all the time. She was always used as a tool, and she was never understood by anyone. Yes, her life was always controlled by someone else. Her mind was destroyed at a young age to save a hero chosen by the gods. Just for the sake of a hero, the goddess of beauty happened to favor. The goddess cursed her to blindly love a man she had never seen. The girl betrayed her father, and she was even forced to betray her own country. There is no memory after that. After everything was over, the girl, who was a princess, was in an unfamiliar country. A girl that betrayed her father, the king, for a man. A witch that cut apart her own brother and threw the pieces into the sea to escape her native country. And the man who wanted it done cast her aside in order to become king, saying he could not marry a witch. She was controlled and taken to an unknown country, was marked as a witch, and the only person she could rely on threw her away. That is her origin. There is nothing people can blame her for, and people around her were aware of that. But still, people continued to demand for her to be a witch. An evil to protect the king. An evil to be on the receiving end of evil superstitions. People wanted a convenient scapegoat that they could blame for any disaster. This pattern has never changed. People demand easily understandable evil to reassure themselves of their own goodness. In that regard, she was the perfect sacrifice. The father she could rely on was in a distant country. Nobody defended her, and people gladly blamed her for all the ugly things in their world. They decided that every ugliness was the witch's doing. That they are poor, that they hate others, that humans are ugly, and even that people die. So she merely accepted it. Since she could only live as a witch, she decided to live like a witch. She swore to show them the ugliness of the wishes they demanded of her. If people do not know their ugliness, so be it. They can stay ignorant, go to hell for their own crimes, and suffer forever. They won't be able to get out of hell. They will suffer forever as criminals because they do not know what crimes they have committed. That is the reason for existence she imposed on herself. That is the only role people gave to the girl, to the one called the witch, who never had a free will. But nobody actually wished for such a thing. The same goes for her as well. She seeks revenge against her will, without having any wish for herself. Yes, until she met up with this stranger. A rustling sound. She peered ahead, even though she was barely able to stand. It's midnight. Who could possibly come into the forest at this time?
そこで何をしている?
It was a heavy voice. She did not have the composure to check who it was. She just thought it was all over. She had no power to use magic. Her purple robe might have looked like a coat, but she was covered in blood. A woman covered in blood was hiding in the rain. It is obvious what such a person did. Anyone would run away first. What would they do after that? They would either call the police or pretend they hadn't seen it. It did not matter to her, as she could no longer move. That caused the last of her spirit to give out. Her last moment was cold and lonely, just as it was at the end of her true lifetime. Or so she thought. When she regained consciousness, she was in that place. In front of her is that man, the man who she met in the woods.
起きたか? 事情は話せるか?
Those were his first words. When she watched the man with blank amazement.
迷惑だったのなら帰るがいい。忘れろと言うなら忘れよ。
The tone of his voice never changed. That was her first encounter with her master, Kuzuki Soichiro. Kuzuki was a strange man. Should he be called a ghost? He had no reason to live, but he had no reason to die. He was just there, and since he existed, he followed whatever whim took him. He has no self. That was her first impression of him, and she thought it would be easy to turn him into a puppet. She grew to realize that the thought was a mistake. Kuzuki Soichiro does not have a past. He has no self because he has no past. But it does not mean Kuzuki Soichiro is empty. Kuzuki was a sincere man. He easily accepted her when she told him that she wanted him to be her master, and when she told him about her true identity.
このような話を信じるのですか?
今のは嘘なのか?
He accepted it after she told him it was the truth. She obtained a new master, was able to stay in this world, and returned to her role of being a witch. She still considers it to be a miracle. She would have disappeared before she woke up if she wasn't taken to the Ryudo Temple. The Ryudo Temple is a demonic place for servants, but it is a perfect summoning place once inside. As the Ryudo Temple is surrounded by a boundary field, it is suited for keeping anything inhuman. She was able to remain without disappearing because she was brought to the Ryudo Temple. Had it been any place else, she would have vanished after being taken there. As a result, she obtained the best ley line and the best protection. She easily occupied the Ryudo Temple, figured out the mechanism of the Holy Grail, and summoned Assassin as the fifth servant. But such things are trivial matters. She was certainly lucky on that night. Many miracles saved her, and she is now on the verge of victory. But they do not deserve thanks. She would have been fine with it, even if those miracles had not occurred. There is only one important fact. A very small matter that is trivial for anyone else. For her, the fact that she was able to meet Kuzuki Soichiro is a miracle beyond belief. But it's not going well. No, she feels that everything she does is not going well. Her master will not be delighted with what she did. He has never had an interest in the Holy Grail. She would do her best to grant any wish of his, but Kuzuki Soichiro has none. A one-sided relationship. They do not get along well. It is not going well at all.
ミイラ取りがミイラになったか。希代の魔女というのも案外脆いものだな。
She turns to the intruder. It is not her master that is standing there. It is the knight in red, Archer, with his true identity still unknown.
アーチャー、あなたには外の見張りを任せたはずですが。
ああ、それがな、ざっと見たところ周囲に敵という敵がいない。退屈を持て余してね、中の様子を見に来たのだ。
それはそうでしょうね。私たちの敵はバーサーカーだけよ。それもセイバーさえ陥落すればこちらから撃って出るだけ。あなたが私たちに寝返った時点でもう敵なんていないのよ。あなたもそれが分かっていたからこそこちらに着いたのではなくて。
さてどうかな。私はあのマスターと契約を切りたかっただけとは思わないか。あのマスター以外なら契約者は誰でもよかったと。
There is some truth in Archer's words. But what does it mean? Archer had no intention of betraying, but betrayed his master only because he wanted to break his contract with Tosuga Rin.
そう。小娘のおもりはごめんということ。確かに私たちサーバントは総じてマスターに不満を持つわ。あなたが愛想を尽かすのも当然でしょうね。
いや、召喚者として彼女は完璧だった。ただ少しばかり狂いが生じただけだ。それとキャスター、一つ忠告しよう。あらゆるサーバントが君と同じだとは思わないことだ。少なくともセイバーとバーサーカーは主に不満を抱いてはいなかった。正しい英雄というものはね。
何を今さら。ねじ曲がったマスターだからこそねじ曲がった英霊を呼ぶ。そのようなことあなたに言われるまでもないわ。
That is right. Servants are determined by their summoners. Summoners with dark shadows in their mind cannot summon heroic spirits who are on the light side. In that regard, she and Ryder are not heroic spirits. A twisted master calls for twisted heroic spirits. As Ryder was one that was beautiful, she was also one that was pure. It is ironic how the servant caster summoned is a fictional hero.
しかし考えてみればおかしな話だな。君やライダーは英霊に敵対するものだろう。にもかかわらずサーバントとして選ばれている。まあ聖杯には善悪の区別はない。力のある人間霊なら誰であろうと組み上げるということか。
いいえ、本来そんな英霊としての側面もあるものなんて混ざり物は選ばれない。この戦いがおかしくなったのは3度目からよ。それまでは私やライダーのような英霊は呼ばれなかった。
That does not concern her now. Really? She is not concerned about the true identity of the Holy Grail. Servant Caster's mission is to win this war. She is not interested in what comes after. No, to be honest, that is not the end of what she wishes for. Or that is not the end she wishes for.
無駄話はここまでよ、アーチャー。持ち場に戻りなさい。あなたが何を考えているかはどうでもいいわ。あなたはすでに私のサーバント。その命は私の手の中にある。それを肝に銘じて口を聞きなさい。
了解した。では従順なサーバントらしく主の期待に応えるとしよう。
The knight in red goes up the stairs. Seeing him off silently, Castor lets out a long sigh. One more day until Saber surrenders. She does not have the Holy Grail yet, but she will approach the end once Saber falls. What will happen when the war ends? Castor will make every wish come true with her powers. It is not bad to live as a witch, like she swore before dying. But the reason will go away once the war ends. Even if she still has the will, her master will lose the reason to stay as her master.
あと少しで聖杯はこの手に収まる。
Castor gracefully reaches out into empty space. Her hard work is about to be rewarded, but her expression is like that of a criminal about to be executed. Interlude out. Status screen updated. Wait, what changed in the status screen? Oh, true name Medea. I thought we already had that. Alright. I saw many corpses. I died at that time and was reborn. I do not have any regrets. My eyes lost hatred there. My hands lost anger there. My legs lost hope there. Myself lost itself there. Everything went away. It is not because I gave up that I believed nothing would save me. I just found out that it's natural. It's just that dying people will die and survivors will survive. I laid down on the rubble and stared at the burning field. I understood everything then. I thought I understood everything. But I still considered it how wonderful it would be if I was able to save everything here. That's what I admired. I just wished nobody would have to suffer. That's why I tried to become a superhero. It was simple, and it seemed like an ideal existence. That was why I aimed for it. I knew where I had to be, but there were many ways to get there. I kept on running, wanting to get as close to it as possible, even though I did not know what was right or wrong. Many paths I took were crooked, and my destination was only getting farther away. I'm taking the long way. I've been repeating this for 10 years, since I got saved by Kiritsugu, but I won't regret it. I'm not as skillful as Tosaka. I will take the wrong path and lose a lot of things at times. But I cannot discard them as meaningless. I have to present meanings for everything I've trampled upon and everything that cannot be returned. So I cannot lose. It can't be helped if I lose against someone else, but I can win against myself. I can always fight back against my mind that tells me to give up. That's all I swore upon. There's only one thing that I believed in and wanted to believe in. That's right. Even if I am walking down the wrong path, I will not regret believing in it. I wake up from the light shining in. It's before 6 o'clock. The sky I can see through the window is a clouded one. I get ready and leave my room. My body feels well, and there isn't that much pain from my wound. I shouldn't be a burden to Tosaka even if we end up fighting.
来たわね。準備はいい？シロ。
Hello, Wind! Welcome, welcome! You are just in time! Rin and Shiro are getting ready to head out to Ilya's castle to try to make a deal with her. I'm ready, but Tosaka has transformed.
何よ、地雷踏んで動けなくなった新兵みたいな顔して。まだ準備できてないの？
いや、そうじゃなくて、父さんがなんか変じゃないか。
は？ ああ、これ細かい作業の時にかけるだけだから気にしないで。
Well, I guess it's alright if you say so. Shiro, you're too obvious. Yeah. What kind of magic is it? It looks so wrong and yet so right.
いい？私たちが向かうのは郊外の森。町からはるかに離れた市街。まだ人の手が入っていない広大な樹海よ。長年人間の介入を拒んできただけあって、森は深くて広いわ。年に何人か何の準備もなしに踏み込んで遭難したって話知ってるでしょ？
I nod silently. Our destination is the Einsburn villa that is said to be somewhere in that forest. Our fate will be sealed the instant our negotiations fail and we end up fighting. We won't be able to call for help, and it will be difficult to run away. We cannot escape that forest unless we defeat that giant berserker.
じゃあそろそろ行きましょう。徹夜して場所に当たりはつけといたから、うまくすれば半日ぐらいで見つけられるはずよ。とりあえず国道までは車を使うからタクシー代用意しといて。
She starts walking with a big bag in her hand. I follow her with the usual Shinai bag in mind. But Tosaka, money for the cab is fine, but does that mean we'll be walking back on the way home? Also, you'll never guess what happened a few days ago in Star Rail. What happened? S1 Aventurine? Oh heck yeah! Congrats! We rode the taxi for an hour from the town. Jeez, that's gotta be a high fee. We drove on the highway, past many mountains, and reached the entrance to the forest. Of course, the forest does not have any paved roads. We finally reached the entrance to the forest after walking about a kilometer from the highway. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I get nervous once I actually face it. The forest is dark even though it's daytime. The tall branches block off the sunlight, and it's hard to see more than a few meters ahead, let alone to the end.
ちょっとシロ、悪いけど先に進んでみてくれない？
いいけど、あの子の居場所を知ってるのは遠坂なんだろ？俺が先に行っても仕方がないと思うわ。
I complain as I enter the forest. Then...
なんだ、ビリッときたぞ。
I pull back my foot. I only felt the shock for an instant. It's not that strong, so it'd hurt more if I hit my foot on the corner of a dresser. Well, in short, it was like static electricity.
やっぱり識別だけだろうけど、森全体に管理が行き届いてるみたいね。
ちょっと待て。それまずいんじゃないのか。要するに防犯ベルに引っかかったってことだろ。なら
別に問題ないんじゃない？私たちは奇襲に来たわけじゃないもの。話し合いに来たんだから、むしろ今からアピールしておいた方が得でしょ。
あ、一応気をつけろよ。ちょっとビリッとくるから。
分かってる分かってる。シロの見てたからどんなものか分かってるって。
She waves her hand and steps into the forest. Then... Oh, favoritism. Tosaka jumps back with a funny scream. I hear fire hissing. I want to believe it's my imagination that the leaves under Tosaka's feet are scorched.
個人差がある警報みたいだな。俺には挨拶程度だったけど。
Favoritism. I calmly analyze the situation. Oh, by the way, Wind, have you taken a look in the community tab on my channel recently? Did you see the thing I teased? But it doesn't seem like Tosuka is listening to me.
やってくれるじゃないあのガキ。今笑ったの確かに聞こえたんだから。
Tosuka yells into the empty sky. She's so angry that she might go to fight instead of talk. Well, anyway, you did. Do you have any guesses as to what it may be? It seems talking bad about Tosuka is fatal, no matter how far away you are from her, so I guess I'll refrain from doing so. We walk in the forest. We're the only people in this vast place. I don't hear any beasts, and the grasses are dead like corpses. The endless rows of trees make me think this forest goes on forever. It's been 3 hours since we entered, just as our surroundings start to blur together.
見つけた。って聞いてはいたけど呆れたわ。本気でこんなところにあんなものを建てるなんて。
I follow Tosuka's stare. There's only darkness ahead. Between the trees, there is something unbefitting of these surroundings, visible through a crack so small that you'd miss it if you weren't careful.
なんだあれ。壁か。
壁よ。まったくどうかしてるわ。あれ、自分たちの国から丸ごと持ってきたものよ。
Tosuka complains and heads to the strange object we can see in the distance. I still can't tell what it is, so I follow her. We get out of the forest. The endless forest quickly ends. No, it seems like the forest is scooped out here with a big spoon. The sky curving above us is gray. A giant dome. It seems more like an underground kingdom than a clearing. This is Iliasvil's dwelling. An old castle built within the forest. Hang on. Graphic. Is that cracks on the wall? Oh, foreshadowing. A solitary castle without any visitors. Too big for one girl, not to mention too desolate for anyone to live alone in. Because she doesn't live alone there. I mean, it's still too big for the amount of people that live in it, but she doesn't live alone. Anyway, it does no good to be standing here. According to Tosuka, Iliasvil knows we're here. Then we should go in from the front entrance as a sign that we're not here to fight.
よし、行くぞ、トサカ。って、トサカ？
Tosuka is looking up at the castle with an alarmed expression. Her face is tense as if she's confronting an enemy.
トサカ、気になるもんでもあったのか？
私たち以外に誰かいる。
そりゃいるだろう。イリアってことバーサーカーの住処なんだから。
そうじゃなくて、それ以外の誰かってことよ。シロ、こっちから入るわよ。
ちょっとお前。
Tosuka starts running towards a big tree by the wall, and I don't have time to stop her. No, that's not all. She grabs onto a branch and skillfully climbs up. I look up in astonishment. Tosuka looks around and she jumps and kicks at the castle. A shattering sound. The window breaks and the red figure disappears into the castle.
ほら早く。本気でおかしいわよ、この城。
もう話し合いをするんじゃなかったのかよ。
But what's done is done. I climb up the tree and jump into the second floor window with like Tosuka. We enter the hallway. Even before I'm dazzled by the magnificence of the castle, I sense the abnormality Tosuka is talking about. I hear sounds of fighting, swords crashing against each other. But would such a storm-like battle even be possible? Even the most fierce battle of swords, the battle between Berserker and Saber, did not create such sounds. Then I suddenly realize, this isn't the sound of swords crashing. This is one against many. There is literally a war going on somewhere in this castle. One side has to be Iliasville. This is Iliasville's castle. If there is a battle here, it could only be Berserker attacking the intruding enemy. I run. The sound is coming from below us. Considering the location we came in from, the battle is happening right in the center of the castle, in the guest hall. I run through the unfamiliar castle. This isn't the time to be talking. I don't know what's going on, but something terrible is happening. I run down the stairs. The fierce battle is happening nearby.
閉めた。ここ広間の吹き抜けに繋がってる。
Tosuka confirms what's down the hallway. The hallway splits at a T-junction, both branches leading to a terrace at either side of the hall.
ここで別れましょう。私はこっちから様子を見るから、シロはそっちからお願い。
It's better to split up. As we are now, we have no way to escape once we're found. There's no point in staying together right now. We don't stand a chance either way. If we're separated, there's hope for the other one to escape, even if one of us is found. Tosuka walks down the hallway facing east. I nod and go down the other hallway, the one heading west.
シロ、
She suddenly calls me.
分かってるわね。何が起きようと絶対に手は出さないで。今の私たちに戦う手段はない。
Take a guess what decision could potentially lead to the bad end in this day.
いい？やばいと思ったらすぐに逃げるのよ。どちらかが捕まっても構わず走って。誰かを助けるなんて、まず自分を助けてから考えることなんだから。
She suppresses her emotions. It sounds more like a wish than a warning. I go around and come out into the terrace. I see Tosuka emerge on the opposite side. She immediately takes cover, then peeks out. As soon as I follow her example and look down, we both gasp.
シンジ、なんだってあいつこんなとこ。
Shinji stands atop the rubble in the corner of the room, happily watching the scene. No, that's not the surprising thing. What I have to accept right now is the battle Shinji is observing. The Black Giant lets out a roar. The swinging axe sword blows up dust and grinds the rubble into powder. The mad warrior appears no different from before. No, his dreadful roar is louder now. The girl in white is behind the giant, Berserker's master, Iliasville, an ever-smiling girl, unsuited for murder. But that girl is now shivering and watching her servant with a face almost in tears. Her pale face is desperately trying to deny the despair in front of her. Someone help me. The girl's trembling lips mouth these words.
そんな。
A storming whirlwind. Berserker's axe sword is repelled each time by the noble phantasm of one servant, the one reigning from the throne of rubble in the center of the hall. Many swords are released. Hang on, I want to see what I can spot here. Alright, so this spear is obviously gold. That's all I'm confident in, off the top of my head. Each one of the weapons appearing from behind the man would cause certain death. Also, this fight goes so hard in the anime. They attack. They are like gushing water. The infinite noble phantasms not only repel Berserker's axe sword, but pierce his body. Pieces are blown from his body. The sword cuts through his body, penetrates his skull, and pierces his heart. But he still does not die. The giant regenerates every time he is killed, slowly but surely moving forward. 8 times already. He has been killed so many times, but Berserker still moves forward. The enemy greets him with a smile. The tragedy continues. Berserker is killed without even being able to go near the enemy.
Buck.
It's not because Berserker is getting killed without being able to do anything. That man, that servant, is beyond belief. The infinite noble phantasms he sends out are each a true noble phantasm. I can tell since I've projected Archer's swords. They are the originals of every noble phantasm. The first ones, from before they became legend. Who could he be, having an infinite supply of such weapons? No, first of all, there should only be 7 servants. Then he is the 8th one. Someone who shouldn't exist. I can't breathe. Berserker defies description. His body of steel and his superhuman strength and his regenerative powers on top of that, he's not someone you can match. But the 8th servant does not retreat from such an opponent and overwhelms Berserker using the demonic swords and the holy swords he releases. When I look up, I can see that Tosaka is pale as well. It's only natural. The place below us is a land of death. We'll die instantly if we enter it. No, more than that. He is a demon. He has a brutality different from Berserker. That man wishes for battles only to kill others. But with such an enemy in front of him, the Black Giant is still the strongest. He does not stop even if he is pierced or slashed all over his body. He receives the Reign of Noble Phantasms, regenerates each time, and closes in on his enemy. It is an advance devoid of tactics. He is not thinking about countering the enemy's attacks. It is a savage fight where he advances on his enemy as long as he still lives. He will not reach the enemy. Berserker's brute courage will prove futile and he will end his life as a mere target. The enemy understands that. That is why he is standing there and provoking the foolishly advancing giant. The Black Giant does not have a way to win. It's something the enemy and even I understand. And probably even Berserker himself knows that. But the giant keeps walking forward. He knows no retreat and does not avoid the attacks. The man greets the figure with a smile.
所詮はバーサーカー。戦うだけのものであったか。同じ半身として期待していたが、よもやそこまでアホとはな。
The noble phantasms emerge from space. Letting out a laugh, he readies the noble phantasms behind him.
では、そろそろ引導を渡してやろう。これ以上近づかれては暑苦しい。
At his signal, the numerous noble phantasms descend on the giant. The giant repels most of them, and at the same time, loses most of his life. black giant shakes. The body of rock starts to fall. But the giant stands his ground and shakes the noble phantasms from his body. The exclamation of surprise comes from the strange servant. The black giant destroys the swarm of noble phantasms and moves towards his enemy. His body is dying already. With a hopeless fatal wound, the black giant still advances. It is the result of a strong will. It is not madness resulting from being a berserker. The giant faces this hopeless fight with an iron will.
でかいだけの的が未だ形をとどめるか。
The magical bullets are fired mercilessly. Repelling it with his axe sword, the giant corners the man with his body slashed and with his limbs pierced. He will not reach the man, but he still challenges the man because there is something he cannot give up. Then what is he moving forward for? Servants fight for their master, to protect the master's life. That is why that giant does not retreat. He can only move forward as a shield to protect the frightened master behind him. The giant continues his foolish advancement. It is because he knows that he needs to take all the attacks in order to beat that servant without having his master killed. And when he reaches his enemy, that is when he wins. From the beginning, that has been this battle's nature. The man has to kill the giant before he reaches him. The giant has to approach the man before his life ends. It is a battle where the one to accomplish their goal is the one to win. The giant is aware of that, even if it is a battle with no hope of victory from the start. He roars. Oops. Coming out of his 10th death, his body explodes forward. He charges into the man like a bull challenging a matador. Numerous arrows are released. Was it his last charge, or did he just get used to the attacks? The giant repels all the arrows. He approaches the owner of the noble phantasms. He swings his axe sword. The weapon that has not yet been raised against the man rips through the air.
天の鎖よ!
The black bull is captured by numerous appearing chains. And that, my friends, is Enkidu in chain form. Not sentient, not alive. Which is weird to think about, but yeah, the chains of heaven, that's Enkidu. What kind of a noble phantasm is it? The chain that appeared out of nowhere confines Berserker as if binding space itself. The chain twists Berserker's arms and bends them in a direction they should not go. The chains tighten mercilessly, trying to tear off the rock-like head.
これでも死なぬか。かつて天の王子すら束縛した鎖だが、お前を仕留めるには至らぬらしい。
The man's voice. The hall is filled with the creaking sounds of the chain. It must be Berserker's power. The giant tries to break the chain that binds even space itself. Even if it sounds impossible, I'm sure the giant will be able to manage it. And the man acknowledges that as well. The girl screams. Iliasville commands Berserker to retreat using her command spell. But the giant is still bound by chains, unable to move an inch.
私の中に帰れって言ったのに、どうして？
無駄だ人形。この鎖に繋がれたものは たとえ神であろうと逃れることはできん。いいな。神性が高ければ高いほど餌食となる。もとより神を律するためだけに作られたもの、霊樹による空間転移など、この俺が許すものか。
Indeed, indeed. So, mythologically speaking, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, Enkidu was created by the gods in response to the people of Uruk praying to them that something be done about their horrible, horrible king, which was Gilgamesh. And Gilgamesh is a demigod, so as the chains of heaven, Enkidu's purpose was to bind him and, stop him. Of course, they ended up becoming best friends and blah blah blah. A lot of stuff happened, Enkidu died, Gilgamesh went on this whole journey of self-acceptance and became a better person. I love the Epic of Gilgamesh, if you couldn't tell. How dare you be so cute right now? Fuck you. And so, the man points to the giant as if to denote the end. An astonished girl's voice. It's over. It really ends. Bound by chains, he receives 22 noble phantasms on his defenseless body. Enkidu fixed him. No, literally, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Enkidu overheard Shamhat and this farmer dude like smack talking Gilgamesh and was like, okay, first I'm gonna punch him in the face and then I'm gonna fix him. The black giant falls silent after becoming a grotesque object. I don't even need to check if he's alive or not. Even if he is a great hero that overcame 10 deaths, he should not be able to get up after receiving 20. Yes, even if he is alive, he should not even have the power to breathe. Historians would say they were besties. Listen. Before Enkidu arrives, there's this part in the epic where Gilgamesh has this dream. He comes to his mother about this dream. His mother is a goddess. He comes to her about this dream he had. He's like, yeah, it was a weird dream. There was this axe that fell from the heavens, and I embraced it like a lover. And his mom, shout out Ninsun, the greatest mom in all of mythology, I think. She hears this, and she's basically like, yeah, that means your soulmate is gonna be arriving pretty soon. And then, like, not too long after that, Enkidu shows up and, like, challenges Gilgamesh to a fight because he overheard how horrible Gilgamesh is. And is like, yo, we're throwing hands, I cannot stand for this. They fight for 3 days and 3 nights, just at a total stalemate. They are each other's perfect equals. And at the end of it, they are best friends, and they go on these adventures together, and then Enkidu dies. And Gilgamesh is so torn up about this, he does not let go of Enkidu's corpse until a maggot falls out of his nose. Like, that is a literal exact description that is used in the epic. And he, like, organizes the most extravagant funeral, and he like, demands that all of the people of Uruk mourn for Enkidu. And then he goes off on this journey. And by the end of it, he has, like, come to terms with his own mortality, because that was a big part of why he was freaking out about it. He was like, well, Enkidu is my equal. If Enkidu can die, that means I can die. He was freaking out about his own mortality as much as he was in mourning. So he goes off on this quest for immortality, does not become immortal, but comes to terms with his own mortality and becomes a much wiser king. So yeah, historians would say they were besties. Yeah. Sorry for going off on a big tangent. Yeah, I have literally read the Epic of Gilgamesh. Specifically because of Fate. Fate got me to read the Epic of Gilgamesh. And it's not the only thing that it has gotten me to read. I'm actually currently reading The Count of Monte Cristo because of Fate Grand Order's Edmond Dantes. You know what? You ship them? Oh, same. Hardcore. Gilki-Do, the OGs. Anyways. And the battle ends. It was known from the start who was going to win. Berserker cannot beat that servant. No, servants cannot beat that man as long as they are heroic spirits. All heroic spirits have things that they were weak against when they were alive. Those are their greatest weak points. Then, what if there is a hero who possesses all of the noble phantasms, even the ones that killed each hero? This is the result. Even if he may have been stronger, he cannot beat that man.
Yada!
The girl in white runs to the giant corpse. Seeing it, the man mercilessly slashes the girl with the sword in his hand. A scream. The man slashes her eyes in one blow. And he pierces her heart. But it misses. No, he made it miss. The girl is pierced in her lung and coughs up blood. The chains are broken. Shattering his binds, the black giant charges at the man. The man pierces the slow-moving target. A lance to pierce the heart. He impales the giant with a lance very similar to Gabe-Olb. That's it. The black giant dies for sure this time. The sword is pulled out from the girl, leaving traces of red. The girl crawls to the unmoving giant. Watching it in delight, the man walks forward. He throws down his sword. He will use his bare hands to finish off the dying girl. I'll die. I'll probably die. I'll surely die this time. There is no logic behind that servant. He will kill anyone that hinders him. I will surely be killed if I don't get away from here before he finds me. And I... We have not received the super chats to unlock the bad end. So, it said status and weapon screens updated, so first we'll check those. And then we'll continue. That's it, Gilganui on the fridge. Get on top of the fridge, get up there. So it's just information about Gilgamesh, I believe. I don't think there's anything here that we haven't seen before from Fate Root. Yeah. Alright. Weapons. Durandal. I believe we went over Durandal last time. Oh, that was this one. A holy sword favored by Roland, the paladin of middle-aged Europe. The king Charlemagne was granted the sword by an angel and awarded it to Roland, the honored leader of the 12 knights. It holds 3 miracles and does not lose its sharpness even when its possessor's magical energy is depleted. Like Caliburn, it is a symbol of power splendidly made. Hang on, I don't see. Because Roland is in Fate Grand Order now, and I gotta see if this is like his actual Durandal. I actually don't know how it's said. But like, oh yeah, they sure did keep the design the same. That's a cool little detail. Because that's like 20 years. Well, more like 15 actually, I think. It was a long time, basically, between when this came out and when Roland was put in Fate Grand Order. Herpe, Vajra, Daneslith. I believe we went over all of these already. Oh, this one was Daneslith. Okay. The Axe Sword, Kancho and Bakuya, Holten Geki. Yeah, we went over all those. Okay. So, we, of course, stop the man because what is Shiro if not reckless? My frozen body bursts. My feet lift me up and my arms grab the railing at the same time. Now, as I mentioned before, there is actually another opportunity to get that same bad end later on. So, keep that in mind. My feet lift me up and my arms grab the railing at the same time. I see Tosuka as I do so. She is biting her lips in anger while watching the tragedy below us. I know. Tosuka wants to stop him as well, but we'll be the ones to be killed if we do so. She can't stop him. That goes the same for me as well. I know it's stupid of me to die trying to save a dying girl. I don't care about that. I just can't leave her be. That's all that fills my mind. I jump down over the railing. Tosuka and Shinji both look in surprise at the intruder, but the man does not even look at me. The man reaches for the girl's body. Yamero! I yell. I stop him with all my might.
Ho?
The man stops his arm, and he slowly turns to me like death that found its new prey. Interlude. Going back over a month. It's this scene. He was summoned into this world before anyone. He was not summoned in this country, a faraway foreign land. The land is always covered in white, the sky is always gray, and the castle is built within a hidden mountain. He's lucky he's kinda hot, how dare he? Exactly. Also, I don't remember, I think they mention it at some point in the visual novel, but as a reminder, I guess, the Einsburns are from Germany. It is always winter in that land. Coldness and stagnation, barrenness and longing. As they cut all ties with the present world and await the reproduction of the miracle, they are like living corpses. The cold winter air steals their human warmth, and the stagnant world does not allow them to lead, or does not allow them a new lifestyle. The family is the seeker of the Holy Grail. Spring does not come for the Einsburn family until their wish is fulfilled. It has been 10 centuries since they started the search for the Holy Grail. As they used every possible method to attain their goal, they were eventually able to forge the Holy Grail. But even then, all they can build is the vessel. The divine mystery that should dwell in there is empty, and they keep building vessels that will never be filled. But a foreseeable end comes to them. They perform a ritual to fill the vessel with help from outsiders. The result is both a success and a failure. The Holy Grail is made. The Holy Grail should be filled with that method, but they make many enemies at the same time. Even though they should be the owners of the Holy Grail, they have been degraded down to common magi that donate help. Their tenacity is abnormal. No, they have been obsessed since that time 1,000 years ago when they almost obtained the Holy Grail. They broke the rules and constantly pulled out the strongest card. In their first one, they did not have time to do such a thing. Or in the first one, they did not have time to do such a thing. In the second one, they finally found a loophole in the rules. In the third one, they summoned what they shouldn't have. And in the fourth one, they were sure of their victory, having the strongest card and its master. The result was a total failure. The servant and the master they selected betrayed them. The man destroyed the Holy Grail, leaving behind his wife and daughter in the Winter Castle. He did not leave his wife behind. His wife was dead by that point, I'm pretty sure. And he did not leave his daughter behind either. The Einsburn family patriarch literally did not let him come back. He wanted to come back. He was not allowed on the premises. They were infuriated with the man's betrayal, and they lamented their mistake. Outsiders cannot be trusted. Their family, with their perfected magic circuits, will be the only ones to obtain the Holy Grail. They had insurance to begin with, and on the fifth one, they finally prepared the strongest master and servant. It was him. 2 months before the Holy Grail War began, every rule was broken for him, Berserker, to be summoned. The days that followed were to only hurt the master. The command spell engraved all over the girl was used to control Berserker. It did no good as a magic circuit and only drained her life away. Even the slightest move on Berserker's part caused the girl to scream in pain. It was only natural. The Holy Grail would appear in 2 months. The only things keeping him in this world were the girl's magical energy and her command spell. Berserker was not created from the magical energy of the Holy Grail. Even if the girl may have been special, to keep Berserker in this world using her own magical energy was like having her life taken away. Knowing that, they still did not allow for her to rest. They abandoned them in the winter forest, filled with hungry beasts. They gave them over to possessed corpses. They threw them in a waste yard full of failures. The only way for the girl to survive was to rely on the giant she had been given. She survived the training that was more like torture. She would let the giant attack the oncoming enemies. She would let out screams of anguish, but she allowed him to attack every one of her enemies. He does not know himself when the process became a special one for him. In contrast to her young appearance, she hated whining. Everything that came out of her mouth was an insult. She must have instinctively known that if she was going to murmur something, she would get stronger when she would insult and hate someone. The girl scorned Berserker for being ugly and cursed his existence. It was only natural. The girl would not have had to suffer if he had not existed. She would not have been thrown in hell if she had not been chosen as a master. The girl insulted the giant every chance she got and used him to take out her anger. The pain had lessened by the time she mastered Berserker's control, which was when the Holy Grail showed signs of its appearance. The girl took away the giant's sanity as if in revenge, treating him as a mad warrior. But he already knew that this was the girl's desperate opposition. The girl did so to hide her weakness. She walked with pride as if saying that she could live alone, and that she did not need any friends or collaborators. It was a bluff to ignore the fact that she was fated to have nothing.
バーサーカーは強いね。
The winter forest. The girl timidly touched the arm covered in blood. Surrounded by hungry beasts, the girl was prepared for her death, but desperately denied it. At that time, he was not able to move without an order from his master, and he was the first to be attacked by the beasts. The beasts bit off pieces of his neck, head, and limbs. With the scene in front of her, the girl screamed. As he had his sanity taken away, he cannot recall what she said back then, but the girl yelled not for her sake, but for his. Even though her body was destroyed whenever he swung his arm, she endured it for his sake. That's why they were both covered in blood. The giant was covered in the beast's blood, and the girl was covered in her own blood. He remembers the winter forest, the weight of the girl that rested on him, crying tears of anguish, and he realized, in that small, cold castle, he was the only one she talked to. Her figure appears in his vision. It is just like that time. The tears he did not see on her since she became a complete master. The girl is running to him in tears, and the man slashes her. The golden foe gashes her eyes with a single slash, taking away her light forever. Her face is covered in red. She still runs in spite of that, but falls over a piece of rubble as her eyes are cut. The slender body falls over. There, the enemy's sword is brought down. The sword misses her heart. The girl is coughing up blood as her lung must have been pierced. It is not instant death, but it is fatal. With her eyes slashed, her lung pierced, and her servant eliminated, she has nothing now. So she should at least die peacefully. It might be a salvation if she would just go to sleep right there. But
あれ痛い痛いよバーサーカー
the girl crawls, leaving traces of blood. Crying in pain, she crawls towards the black giant. How much power was left in him? Breaking the chains with all his might, he charges at the man. The demonic lance is thrust. The heart-piercing lance impales the giant. That ends it. The man pulls out the lance as if nothing has happened, and the remaining power in the giant completely disappears. His body disappears. All the power that was giving his body form has disappeared, so all that is left for him is to disappear. As he ran out of magical energy, there was no way for him to stay in this world. He falls, but in his last living moment, he sees the girl fumbling around for him. Power returns to his falling body. The law of magic that constructed him, the regulation of the world that hates inconsistencies, the body that is crumbling away like sand.
バーサーカーは強いね
He pushes aside all powers trying to eliminate him, using his own power of will. He cannot disappear yet. He is probably the only one she relied on. He has to answer the solitary girl that believed in him, although she insulted him.
どこわかんない真っ暗で何もわかんないよバーサーカー
With her eyes slashed, the girl crawls with her hands stretched out. She must want to feel him, as she cannot see him now. The blood-stained hands grope through empty space, trying to verify his presence. There is no power left in him. There is nothing he can do. Berserker will fall here and die here. His body has died, and there is no power left to support him.
だから私は安心だよ。どんな奴にだってバーサーカーさえいれば負けないもの。
But that cannot be allowed. His mind is dead. Supporting his body with his will that should no longer exist, he parts from this world. His body is still standing, just as it was when he was invincible. As if to say his body has to be invincible until the very last second for the girl that depended on him. And the girl reaches him. The hand that was grasping through empty space finally touches something. Coughing up blood, the girl crawls to the hard figure. She cannot see, but she can still feel him. Berserker hasn't lost yet. She cannot see anymore, but Berserker is still strong like always.
よかった。ずっとそこにいてね。バーサーカー。
Strength fades from her body. She is hurt and scared, but it's all right as long as he's here. He always protected her. He was scary, but he was really kind. His big body was like that of a dad, and she wanted for him to pick her up once.
暗くても怖くないよ。バーサーカーは強いんだもん。こうしていてくれれば私は安心できるから。
She rests her body on him. It feels as though he'll rest one of his big, solid hands on her head. It's probably true. He should be patting her head when she opens her eyes.
うん。ちょっと寒いね。
Her body is cold. Recalling the forest from that time, the girl smiles. It happened so long ago. Recalling the giant that protected her even when injured, the girl peacefully falls asleep. The man reaches out for the girl that went to sleep. I yell. I don't consider the personal danger, nor what could happen to me.
ほう
The man stops. Behind him stands Shinji, surprised at the sudden intruder. The man smiles ominously. My shaking throat speaks up before I can think. But there's no way that man will stop. I couldn't even tell him to stop. The man pulls something out of the girl with a smile. A red, dripping object that looks like a fruit. The thing in the man's hand is the girl's heart. My mind burns down. Fear of being killed mixes with my desire to kill him.
観客がいたか。俺の勇姿を見たいという気持ちはわかるが。
With the girl's heart in his right hand,
身の程をわきまえろ。王に命じるとは何事か。雑種。
he shoots off one of his numerous noble phantasms at me. The terrace falls. The man's noble phantasm destroys the walls of the castle. The wall of the castle. I don't move at all. I don't care about the rubble falling down. I don't have time to run, and I have no intention of running. I don't care even if a big piece of debris scratches against my back. I can't think of looking away from that guy now.
ほう。何かと思えば、セイバーのマスターとはな。
His red eyes react to my enmity. I'm going crazy. I'll die in the next instant. There's no way I'm not afraid of that. But my body refuses to run away and keeps screaming to defeat that enemy. The girl's corpse keeps ordering me not to forgive that man. It's only natural for me to go crazy. My mind churns with conflicting impulses towards life and death.
戦う意志はあるようだが話にならん。肝心のセイバーがいないのでは貴様などに価値はない。
A sword appears in his left hand. The sword is mercilessly raised and should come down to kill Emiya Shiro. I keep glaring at the enemy. I can't even think about showing my back to him.
ちょっと待てよ。そいつさ、僕の知り合いなんだよね。
The man's sword stops. Shinji, who was watching from the other side of the wall, walks to the center of the hall.
よう、久しぶりだな、エミヤ。こんなところで会うとは思わなかったんでね。少しばかり驚いたよ。
The man does not move. There's about 10 meters between us. Would I be able to get near him? Even Berserker could not close this distance.
なんだ、ブルって声も出ないのか？まあ、気持ちはわからないでもないよ。僕もライダーの時はそうだった。ああ、そうだったそうだった。いや、あの時は見逃してもらって助かったよ、エミヤ。
There's nothing I can use as a weapon, but I don't care. My head is clear right now. I don't feel any uneasiness about projecting his swords right now.
おい、僕がこっちを見ろって言ってるんだ。
I slightly shift my gaze in his direction. I look at Shinji while keeping the man in my view.
そうだよ。分かってるじゃんか。今ここで一番誰が偉いのかってことがさ。
I gasp. It's not because of what he said. It's unexpected that he is saying so from the bottom of his heart.
そういうことだ。なら分かってるよな、エミヤ。お前、このままじゃ確実に死ぬよ。
How out of place? Why say something that's so obvious?
紹介が遅れたが、そいつは僕の新しいサーバントでね。ライダーなんかよりすごいだろ。
Shinji puts his hand on the man's shoulder, and with a delighted face.
命乞いしろよ、エミヤ。少しは考えてやってもいいぜ。
He says something unimaginable.
断る。
I do not hesitate. I answer right away without showing any signs of even considering it.
そうかよ。それじゃ死んじゃえよ。
Shinji jumps back. The man, still with a cold expression, finally brings his sword down.
そこまでよ。そこのサーバント。指一本でも動かせば、マスターの命は保証しないわ。
And the man stops his sword once again. Everyone looks up. Everyone down in the hall turns his attention to the girl on the terrace. Tosuka's hand is aimed at Shinji. Even though Shinji is not a magus, he should know what that means. Tosuka's serious. If the man brings down his sword, she will kill Shinji as retaliation.
父さんがお前までなんでここに
She doesn't answer, but just keeps her aim on Shinji.
なんだよお前本気で僕を撃とうってのかこの人殺し
殺したのはそっちが先でしょう。もっともどうであれこっちの気は変わらないわ。シンジ、殺す権利と殺される権利は同じよ。そんなこと人間なら魔術師じゃなくても本能で理解なさい。
Shinji retreats weakly, being stared down by Tosuka. And the man just watches it in delight. He looks at Tosuka. Then, I think there was a strange shaking for an instant.
なるほど。俺の打倒はできぬと悟り、マスターを狙ったか。交渉を持ちかけたのは、マスターを殺したところで俺が止まらぬと判断したからだ。娘。
そうよ。シンジが死んだくらいじゃあんたは止まりそうにない。今ならシンジを救えるもの。あんただってサーバントならマスターを失うのは痛手のはずよ。
なるほどなるほど。なかなかの起点だ。そこの雑誌を助けたいのならばその交渉しかありえまい。
His sword disappears. He turns his back to me as if he's lost interest.
お前何のつもりだ。誰。
いや状況が変わったぞシンジ。彼女ならば器としては文句なしだ。
Shinji stops breathing. Good, stay that way forever. His face, filled with irritation, suddenly turns into a dirty smile.
そうか。いや嬉しいよ遠坂。君がまだ生きていてくれて。
そう。一応私もホッとしたわ。あんたみたいなのでも付き合いは長いからね。どこかで死なれてたら気落ちするわ。
Laughing, Shinji claps his hands. It's so strange. Shinji shows no fear, even though Tosuka can end his life. It seems an overwhelming joy is numbing his emotions.
まあいい。それよりどうだ遠坂。エミヤなんてほっといてさ、僕たちと手を組まないか。
僕たち。
そうだよ。君もキャスターが力を蓄えているのは知ってるだろ。竜道寺は今回の祭壇なんだ。そこに陣取られて魔力を蓄えられてるのね。
Shinji says this with both his hands raised. That's an obvious fact. If I have to add, it seems Shinji doesn't know Caster obtained Saber and Archer.
な、わかるだろ。一人でやっても勝ち目は薄いんだ。バーサーカーのマスターは倒したけど、これだけじゃ足りない。どうさ、君がいればキャスターたちにも負けないものが作れるよ。
Shinji invites her with confidence. To that,
お断りよシンジ。あんたが誰とつながっているかは知らない。けどね、私から見てもいいように使われているだけのやつについていく道理はないわ。
Tosuka refuses him without twitching a brow.
なんだって。
わからない？腐れ縁から忠告するけど、もうちょっと周りを観察する知力を養いなさい。マトウシンジをマスターだと思っているのはあんた一人だけよ。あんたには魔術師としての才能がないっていい加減気がついたら。
Destroy him! Shinji's face stiffens up. The harsh words must have caused him to forget that his life is in Tosuka's hands.
やれギルガメッシュ。エリアも遠坂も皆殺しだ。
Shinji orders his servant.
なんだよ。やれって言ってるだろ。お前なら僕がやられる前にやるなんて簡単じゃないか。
いや残念だが時間切れだ。これ以上放置すれば腐ってしまう。
The man shows Shinji, who is walking up to him in anger, what is in his right hand. A red piece of meat. It is the still throbbing heart he ripped out of that girl. Shinji grits his teeth in vexation.
そう後悔するなよ遠坂。もう仲間にしてやらないからな。
Shinji runs towards the gate. The other one stays. And after watching his master's disgraceful behavior,
だそうだ。良い友人を持ったな。
with those delighted words, he leaves the room filled with rubble. And we walk to her, the center of the hall. With the sunlight coming in from the ceiling, the girl is sleeping amongst the rubble. Her eyes will never open again. Looking closely, the girl is not white at all. Yeah, she's half Japanese. She has red all over her, and she looks nothing like she did before.
シロのせいじゃないわ。分かってるでしょ。私たちじゃこの子を助けることなんてできなかった。
I know. I've been taught that there are people I can save and people I cannot save. I know it'll put my own life in danger if I try to do something beyond my capabilities. But still, I still wanted to save her. I don't want a child dying in front of me. I don't want anyone dying in front of me. It is more painful and scary than anything else not to be able to save someone asking for help. There's no way I can apologize, and I don't know her well enough to apologize to her. This girl is unrelated to any of Shiro. I know that without having to be told, so why are these eyes crying?
どうして
遠さか。
どうしてよ。あいつの前に出れば殺されるって分かっていたでしょ。なのにどうしてイリアスフィールを助けようとしたの。結果はどうあれ、イリアスフィールは敵だった。なのにどうしてこの子の死にそこまでしてやれるのよ。
Is it an inquiry? Tosuga's eyes are serious.
どうしても何もない。助けたいと思ったから止めただけだ。
There's no other way to explain it. After glaring at me,
そう。前から異常だと思ってたけど、今ので確信したわ。シロ、あなたの生き方はひどくいびつよ。
she tries to open a lid that I've kept closed for so long.
いびつだって。
そうよ。自分より他人のが大切なんて生き方は間違ってる。いい？他人を助けるのは自分が愛されたいからだなんて一般論を口にしてるんじゃないわ。そんな偽善とは別のところで人間は自分を一番にしなくちゃいけないの。そりゃ他人が一番のやつだっている。けどそもそも自分っていうのは計りにかけられない別格なのよ。言うなれば計りそのものでしょ。なのにあんたはその計りを壊してどうでもいい他人を助けようとする。ええ、それでも構わない。あんたが自分のないただ生きてるだけの人間ならそれもいい。けどシロは自分があるじゃない。そんな確固たる自意識があるくせに自分をないがしろにするなんてできないのよ。そんなことを続けてたらいつか必ず壊れるから。
No way. I can't break down. I'm doing this so that I won't break down. I'm trying to save people that I could not save so that I can hold my head high.
いいえ、もう十分に壊れてるわ、あなたは。だから言ってよ、10年前に何があったかは知らない。けど、あんたがおかしくなってるのは、それが原因なんでしょうから。
Tosuka looks like she's crying. Why does she have to make a face like that? It's as if she knows I'll live a thankless life, so she's trying to stop me.
学校の時もそうだった。あなたはあれだけの死体を見てとんでもなく冷静だった。私でさえ死体と勘違いしたっていうのに、一別しただけでみんなが生きてるって読み取っていた。それがずっと変だって引っかかってた。魔術師としてろくな教育を受けていないくせに、殺し屋になってもすぐに自分を落ち着かせていた。死体を前にして憤ることはあっても、 死体そのものに嫌悪を抱いてはいなかった。それはきっとあなたにとって人の死は見慣れたものだったからよ。それだけのものを10年前に見たっていうことでしょ。
I got used to seeing them? Well, it's true that it wasn't my first time seeing a corpse. The students at school, Ryder who got her neck twisted off, and even this girl sleeping in front of me now, I think they've died a natural death compared to that time. But she's wrong. The fire 10 years ago saved Emi Ashiro. That cannot be the main reason why Tosaka is criticizing me now.
違う、遠坂。そんなことはない。俺はただ助けられただけだ。
助けられた？あなた10年前の火事の時に助けられたのね。それがエミヤ桐次だったの。
ああ、そうだ。ただそれだけだ。
My heart aches when I answer. My body is telling me that it's a lie.
じゃあ他には何かなかった？ずっと後悔しているようなこととか、助けられる代償にエミや桐次に取られたものとかなかったの？
そんなのあるもんか。桐次は俺を助けてくれただけだ。それに取られるも何もその時は。
I had nothing to give. I saw many corpses. I died at that time and was reborn. I do not have any regrets. My eyes lost hatred there. My hands lost anger there. My legs lost hope there. Myself lost itself there. So why? Why do I have this self-consciousness that Tosaka speaks of?
それは
I have accepted death. I knew I was going to die. Even if my body was saved in that situation, there's no way my mind could have been saved as well. At that time, I was empty, and I just admired something sacred.
ああ、そうだった。
I remember now. No, I didn't even put it into my memory. So I didn't realize until now that it's what really saved me.
シロ、やっぱり何か契約でもさせられたの？
違う。取られたものなんて何もない。俺はただもらっただけだ。
A world like hell. In the place where everyone but me died, I was saved. Nobody saved me, and I wasn't able to save anybody. And at the very end, he granted something that I thought was a miracle.
覚えてる。俺を覗き込む目とか、助かってくれと懇願する声を、その淵で思ったんだ。自分が助かったことじゃなくて、助けてくれる奴がいることは、なんて。
It's so wonderful, and it's such a miraculous thing. That's why I admired it. I had nothing, and there was nothing remaining in me. I admired the first thing that came into my sight.
だから、俺は。
That's the only thing I had. That's the only emotion I felt after I was saved. I was happy. I cried. That's all I could think about. So, that's all the emotion I could create.
ああ、きっと、遠坂は正しい。
It's distorted for me to put priority on others before me. There is something seriously wrong with the procedure.
けど、救われたのは俺だけだった。その時に思ったんだ。この次があるのなら、助けられなかった人の代わりに、全ての人を助けなくちゃいけないんだって。
それがおかしいって言ってるのよ。いい？助かったんならまず自分を大事にしろっていうの。死んじゃった人たちには悪いけど、あんただけが助かったっていうのはただの偶然よ。ならその幸運をかみしめなさい。それだけひどい目にあったんだから、あとは楽しくやんなきゃ嘘でしょ。
Tosaka is seriously angry. Yeah, that makes me happy. I finally realize now, because Tosaka is that kind of person. The question I've been wondering about all by myself. I wanted to be a superhero, and I always tried to help others. I will be right back, one moment. Alright, sorry about that. Kitty demanded food. The question I'd been wondering about all by myself. I wanted to be a superhero, and I always tried to help others. I knew there was something wrong with the method, but I did not understand what. But it's so clear now. It's because of this person that is seriously angry for my sake.
何よ、これだけ言ってもまだわからないわけ？あったまくるわね。そんなにわからずやだって言うなら、あんたとのコンビも。
いや、わかってる。言っただろ、遠坂は正しいって。
なら
けどやっぱり忠告は聞けない。確かに俺は何か間違えている。けどいいんだ。だって誰かのためになりたいっていう思いが間違いなはずがないんだからな。
So, I answer her with as much gratitude as I can possibly put in.
まったく、そんな顔されたら何も言えないじゃない。
Maybe it got awkward as Tosaka turns and walks away. And then...
まあ仕方ないか。こうなったらもう私が何とかしてあげるわよ。
She sighs as she says this. The sun is setting. We return to the hall when the sky turns red. The corpse of the girl is not on the mountain of rubble. We just buried her in the courtyard. I don't know if it's normal for servants, but the black giant turned into sand. But we put the sand in the same coffin as the girl.
さて、これからどうするかだけど、考えはある？
考え中だ。事態がまた悪い方に転んだからな。少し整理しないとやってられない。
そうね。最大の敵だったイリアスフィールとバーサーカーはいなくなったけど、代わりにわけわかんないやつが出てきたし、サーバントは7人しか呼ばれないはずなのに、あいつで8人目でしょ。どう見ても既存のサーバントじゃなかったけど、 シンジのやつ、どこであんなのと契約したんだか。
An eighth servant, huh? I don't think we can treat that man as a servant. He's a heroic spirit that dominates all others. He has a seemingly infinite supply of noble phantasms, and he is a devil without any human emotion.
ギルガメッシュ。それって古代メソポタミア神話に出てくる英雄だよな。
ええ、半神半人の英雄。ウルクの王、不老不死の探求者。この世の全てを治めたとされる暴君だけど、まさかあんなイカれたやつだったとは思わなかったわ。
I have been watching a lot of actually the last couple of days, so allow me to jump in here. Actually, technically he is 2/3 god, 1/3 mortal, because, for some reason the math comes out this way. His mother is a goddess, and his father was originally a human hero who later became deified, and so for some reason the math of that supposedly comes out to him being 2/3 god.
バーサーカーをこともなげに倒したことといい、あいつ本気になったセーバーより強いかもしれないわね。
Tosuga doesn't sound as sharp. It doesn't seem like it's because there's a new enemy.
どうしたんだよ、トサカ。奥歯に物が挟まったような言い方だけど。
ちょっとね。あいつ確かに強かった。あれだけの数の宝具を持ってるんだから、その力は一級品でしょ。けど実質はどうなのかなって。私あいつとバーサーカーにそう実力差はないと感じてたんだけど。
She ponders. Huh? Could it be that Tosuga doesn't know about his powers?
いや、
What?
あいつ自身はセイバーやバーサーカーと同じか、きっとそれ以下だ。そもそも英霊の強さは召喚された土地での知名度によるんだろう。ならギルガメッシュなんて英雄、こっちじゃ知ってるやつはそうはいないぞ。
それはそうだけど、知名度による実力の変動だってそう大きいものじゃないわ。私にはどうもあの金ピカは反則めいて見えたんだけど。
Tosuga calls him by a strange name. Well, with that aside...
いや、だから反則だって。あいつの持ってた宝具はみんな本物だ。いや、そうじゃなくて、きっと本物の元になった武器なんだ。ギルガメッシュは一番古い神話の英雄で、あらゆる贅沢を尽くした王様だったんだろう。なら各地の神話の元になった原点を所有していてもおかしくない。
じゃあ何？あいつが出してた宝具は宝具じゃなくてただの武器ってこと？
だろうな。あいつの宝具自身はきっと蔵なんだ。生前にあいつが集めた財宝を収納した蔵こそがあいつの宝具なんだと思う。
It's not just weapons. The Gate of Babylon contains all kinds of things, including super fancy wine and goblets to go with it, and a bunch of other stuff. It's got everything in there.
そっか。ならバーサーカーが叶わないのも当然よね。英霊たちにはそれぞれ弱点がある。すべての宝具の原型を持つんなら、相手の弱点となるものを持ち出せばいいだけの話だもの。
That's right. If there is a chance of victory, it is that he is not a master of these weapons. He is not a wielder that has mastered his weapon to the limit, so I think there is still a way to beat him. But with all that aside...
まあ、トサカ、本当に関係ないんだけど、なんで金ピカなんだよ、あいつ。
いや、それはその髪が金色だったからとか。
何言ってんだ。それならセイバーも金ピカなんて呼んでたはずだ。金ピカ、すごいぞ。実に意味ありげじゃんか。ここまで来て隠すなよ。トサカ、なんか気づいたんだろ。
ちょっと違うってば。私のはシロみたいに真面目な話じゃないから、あんまり追求しないで。
嘘つけ。 根拠もなしで金ピカなんて呼ぶもんか。ほら白状しろよ遠坂。今は一つでも情報が欲しいんだから。
ああ、
I stare at Tosaka. After a few seconds, she sighs as if she's given up.
だからそれはあいつ高価そうなのいっぱい持ってたでしょ。それでものすごくお金持ちなんだろうなって。だから金ピカ、あの金ピカすっごい贅沢してそうじゃない。
Tosaka scratches her cheek while looking away. How scary. It seems anyone who's rich is called Goldie by Tosaka. What's more scary is that Tosaka figured out the servant's true nature just because he seemed rich.
ともあれ、厄介なやつが出てきたものね。8人目のサーバントって時点で破綻してるのに、そいつ自身がジョーカーなんだもの。問い詰めようにも監督役のキレイは行方知れずだし。まあ今はキャスターの方が大事だから後回しにするしかないんだけど。
That's right. Castor is obtaining more power as we speak. Saber should not be able to oppose Castor's control much longer. No. In the worst case, Saber could already be under her control.
そうだな。イリアスフィールの協力は得られなかったけど、だからといって放っておくわけにはいかない。こうなったら2人だけでキャスターを倒せる手段を考えよ
う。そうね。何のアイデアもないけどやるしかないか。
She sighs and sits on the rubble.
まさかお城で作戦会議することになるなんてな。
I follow Tosaka's lead and sit down. Well, we'll have a bed to sleep in here. If we're lucky, we might even find some magical item of Ilias Fields. And the moment we let our guard down...
やめとけやめとけ。お前たち2人だけで裏をかく？
Hey, Lancer, it's been a while.
そんなの通用するわけねえだろ。間抜け。
A stunned voice comes from the front entrance. We jump up and turn to face the speaker.
いつぞやの夜以来だな、お二人さん。お互いしぶとく生き残っているようで何よりだ。
ランサー。
I quickly concentrate and connect my magic circuit. He is certainly Lancer. He speared my heart on that night 10 days ago. I can't let it happen again. I have to let Tosaka escape before he attacks.
白離れて。あいつは私が引きつけるから、その間にあんたは2階に。
遠坂走れ。あいつは俺が食い止める。遠坂は一旦外に。
Oh, they're perfect for each other.
ちょっと待った。あんた自分を大切にしろってさっきの話全然聞いてなかったみたいね。
She lowers the hand she pointed at Lancer and points at me. But I have objections as well.
バカ言うな。忠告は聞かないってちゃんと断っただろう。殴り合いはこっちの役目だ。あいつとは2度目だし、ここは遠坂より俺の方が向いている。
そんなわけないじゃない。相手は歩兵よ。飛び道具がない相手に飛び道具である私が逃げてどうすんのよ。
だからこそだろう。懐に入られたらおしまいってわからないか。いいから遠坂は遠くから援護してくれればいいんだよ。
バカ、援護なんてできるか。あいにくそんな器用な魔術なんて知らないわよ。やるならあんたごと吹っ飛ばすに決まってんじゃない。
自分の壊し屋っぷりを開き直るな。だいたいどうしてそう何でもかんでも派手めでいこうってんだお前は。たまにはもっとつつましいことやってみろ。キャスターが遠坂はいらないもんって言ったのあんまり無視できないぞ本当。
なんですってこの。
And we argue for a few minutes. When we begin to tire and wonder how this got started. I noticed that Lancer is watching us with a smile.
あ、もう終わりか。別に急がねえから最後まで済ましちまいな。相手への不満はとことん吐き出しといた方がいいぞ。
I cough and glare back at Lancer. I take half a step forward, and Tosaka is right behind me. Man, we should have done so from the start.
や待て待て。せっかく同意を得たところ悪いが、こっちに戦う気はない。見るに見かねてな、少しばかり手助けしてやろうと出しゃばりに来たわけだ。
He ships them. Lancer knows what's up. Hold on. What did he just say?
聞き違いかしら。今手助けをするって聞こえたけど。
なんだ、わかりづらいか？なら言い直すか。お前たち二人だけではキャスターたちには太刀打ちできん。できんだろうから俺が手を貸してやると言ったんだ。
I'm stunned. But Tosaka quickly grasps the situation.
そう。本当に出しゃばりね、ランサー。聞くけど、それはあなたのアイデア？
いや、俺のマスターからの指示だ。キャスターたちがああなっちまった以上、一人きりの身としては協力者が欲しいんだと。連中を潰すまでの共同戦線ってやつだな。
まっとうな理由ね。けど、それなら私たちよりもっと頼りがいがあるやつがいるでしょ。
Is she talking about Shinji and Gilgamesh? It seems Tosaka is trying to figure out if Lancer knows about them.
いや、あれはダメだ。とてもじゃないが性に合わん。戦力的には申し分ないが、いちいち背中の心配をするのも面倒だろう。
正しい選択ね、ランサー。けど、それもあなたのマスターの指示ってわけ？
それも違うな。あんたらを選んだのは俺の趣味だ。一度面識がある分話が早いだろう。
He speaks plainly. It seems that fighting Archer and driving his lance through my heart are the same as becoming acquaintances in his mind.
待て、ランサー。俺はお前に二度も殺されかかった。だっていうのに、お前の言葉を信用すると思っているのか？
思っているさ。お前の参謀はさっぱりとしたいい女だからな。そんな女が手を貸すってんだから、お前だって物好きなお人よしなんだろう。
I frown. I'm troubled that Tosaka is nodding at our enemy's words.
そういうわけだ。だから協力できるって思ったのさ。ああ、言っておくが、お前たちがじゃない。お前たちなら協力してやっていいとこの俺が思ったんだ。
I can't understand the difference.
大した自信ね。協力しようって持ちかけておいて、選ぶのはそっちってこと？
ああ、初見からあんたのことは気に入ってたんだぜ。美人で強情で肝が据わっていると来ている。女をマスターにするんならな、あんたみたいなのがいい。
Lancer looks at Tosaka with cool eyes. I don't like him for some reason.
いいわ。私は賛成。けどまだ決定じゃない。エミヤ君が信用できないって言うなら、この話はなかったことにするけど。
だそうだ。どうする小僧。お前、器を試されてるぞ。
Lancer looks at me, trying to suppress his laughter. My answer is... There are 3 options here. We cannot refuse, because that is the option that leads to the bad end. But the other 2, it doesn't really matter which one we pick, I think. So, do we just say alright, or do we say under one condition? I will leave this up to chat. Middle one? Alright. I don't mind, but under one condition. We have to accept his offer. Even if he's an enemy, he's still right. Tosaka and I can't beat Castor, but we might have a chance if Lancer's with us. But
分かった。お前の言い分は信じる。けど条件付きだ。キャスターを倒すために手を貸してもらうし、俺たちもお前を信用する。その代わり。
その代わりなんだ？俺のマスターを教えろってか？
違う。仲間だからって気安く遠坂には近寄るな。
The air freezes. Lancer is speechless, like he's been sucker punched.
なるほどなるほど。そりゃそうだ。俺のマスターなんぞよりそっちの方が何倍も重要だよな、坊主。
I'm pretty sure that's what the anime went with. Because this option actually gets you an affection point with Ren. He starts laughing heartily.
なんだよ、悪いか。言っとくけど、遠坂はやらないからな。
まさか悪くなんかね。むしろ見直したところだ。いや、いいね、お嬢ちゃん。坊主、あんたにぞっこんじゃないか。
何言ってんのよあんた。私とシロはそんなんじゃないわよ。そう、私たちはただの協力関係なんだから。
そうか？
なんかムカつくわねあんた。何よその見透かしたような顔は。ほらシロもなんか言いなさいよ。私たちはただの協力関係だって。なんか言いなさいよバカ。これじゃ本当に私たちが付き合ってるって。
だから本当も何もとっくに出来上がってんだよお前たち。傍から見てる俺でさえわかるのに当の本人たちがごまかしてるだな。ああ、こりゃこの先も大変だぞ少年。
Lancer makes a sympathetic gesture.
まあ遠坂が大変なのはもう分かってるから。
I dismiss his sympathy with a sour look.
ほう、そりゃ頼もしい。じゃあ俺もそれなりに気を使ってジョーちゃんと付き合おう。だがまあからかうと面白いジョーちゃんなんだな。道中楽しませてはもらうぜ。それぐらいの見返りが構わねえだろ。
分かった、その線でいこう。キャスターを倒すまであんたの力を借りる。
決まりだな。じゃあまあとりあえず握手と。
Lancer walks to me unarmed and shakes my hand. There are worrying factors, but we're able to obtain a reliable ally. All that's left is...
このかったまきた。いいわよ。あんたたちなんてこっちから願い下げよう。こうなったら私一人でキャスターをとちめるんだから。
How can I calm her down? We walk through the dark forest. Although we don't know his intentions, having Lancer's help means we don't need to stay at the castle anymore. Lancer must have taken a liking to Tosaka, as he keeps messing with her and getting hit by her.
ちょっとあんたね、ちゃんと自分のマスターがいるんでしょ。ならおとなしくしてなさいよ。キャスターを倒したら敵同士になるんだし、話なんかしてもしょうがないでしょ。作戦会議以外はみんな無駄口よ、無駄口。
なんだ、敵になるからって話はなしか？見かけによらず余裕がないんだな。相手が敵であろうと気が合うなら膝交えて語り明かすってのが情だろうに。
いつの時代の人間よあんた。そういうね、明日には殺すけど今日は親友だなんてのは今時流行らないの。やるとなったら徹底してやらないと相手にも失礼じゃない。
はあ、そりゃまたつまんねえ世の中になったもんだ。
Lancer does not learn his lesson. I think they've been repeating the same kind of conversation for a while now.
それよりランサー、自分の役割きちっと分かってるんでしょうね。
ああ、梅雨払いは任せておけ。お前たち二人でキャスターとそのマスターと戦うんだろ。俺の役目はアーチャーの相手だ。最悪セーバーもどうにかしなくちゃならんが、まあ抑えるだけなら問題ない。
He speaks objectively. He isn't even scared of fighting Saber and Archer at the same time. Oh yeah, Saber commented on him when we were training in the dojo. She said Lancer is the best when it comes to surviving. This is true. She praised him, saying that with his excellent agility and great experience, Lancer would be an impregnable wall if he went into defense. He must have fought many battles from disadvantageous positions when he was alive. Indeed, indeed. This man ran through fatal battles like a panther and lived on. I don't think a panther is the most accurate description.
それはいいけどな。
Bit too
敵はアーチャー
feline.
とセイバーだけじゃない。キャスターの下にはアサシンもいるんだろう。なら最悪あんたの相手は3人ってことになるぞ。
ああ、そりゃやべえな。あの野郎は苦手だ。できれば1対1でもやり合いたかね。あの手のやつは遠くから仕留めるに限るが、まあその心配は不要だな。アサシンは教会には現れない。
どうしてそう断言できるのよ。キャスターが竜道寺に戻らないなら門番としてアサシンだって呼び戻すんじゃないの？
いや、アサシンはキャスターが呼び出したサーバントだが、それゆえに制約がある。奴はあの場所そのものに呼び出された英霊だ。竜道寺を離れることはできんし、何よりキャスターが呼び戻さんだろう。あれはキャスターがマスターに黙って独断で召喚したサーバントだ。マスターが教会にいる以上は隠し通すし、おいそれと竜道寺を手放すこともできまい。
竜道寺を手放せない。それってつまり
聖杯の召喚場所があの山だからだろうな。知っているか？聖杯戦争は今回で5回目だが、聖杯が呼び出される土地は4カ所ある。そのうちの一つが竜道寺であり、教会でもあるわけだ。ちなみに3回目の召喚場所は教会だったらしい。4回目はどこぞの平地だったそうだ。
へえ、戦ってれば幸せみたいな人だと思ったけど、意外に物知りなんだあなた。
単にマスターが小難しいやつなだけだ。お前たちの事情に関心があるわけじゃない。
けどそっか。じゃあ今回の召喚場所って1回目と同じ場所に戻ったってことなのね。
Tosuka starts to ponder. Lancer watches her with delight and walks on in the dark forest. The date has already changed. The day should be dawning by the time we get out of this forest. I mentally prepare myself as I walk. We will fight Castor again in a few hours. I won't hesitate, even if that girl would have turned into our enemy by then. We'll defeat Castor. I have to tell myself that it is the most important thing right now. We head to the battlefield. No matter what may be awaiting us at the church at daybreak, we cannot stop now. And that brings us into day 14. Which means we are going to go ahead and start wrapping things up here for tonight. And next week, we will be confronting Castor. Tomorrow we are going to be watching the Star Rail concert, I believe. So, thank you to everybody who stopped by. I hope to see you all next time. As a reminder, when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will be starting a new Star Rail Challenge series, and when I reach 5 channel members, something very, very big will be coming to the channel. So, do keep that in mind as well. Do look forward to all of that. And I will see you all next time.